PSIR PYQ answer writing. So, my name is Shivam, and today I will be dealing with, in general, Western political thought and in specific with topic called Hobbes. So, without wasting any time, let's start our first question of the day. So, today we are going to deal with question asked in 2017 for 10 marks, that is comment on Hobbesian notion of political obligation. Before starting, let me tell you that what will be the approach of mine to dictate the answer of this question. So first we will understand the structure. Second, we will understand that why we are writing this specific set of things in this answer. That means we are properly going to deal with the approach of answer writing. And at the end, we will also deal with the specific keywords which are going to work as extra edge fetching pointer for us in the examination. So without wasting time, let's understand the question. So the question's first point is comment. So comment here means the question is asking us to give us our opinion, that what we think. Now, does it matter for the examiner to know our own opinion? No. For examiner, the word comment here means analysis, and that analysis should be on the basis of the thinkers, various thinkers which we have studied throughout the syllabus. Now, including it, the next part is that what is the demand of the question. So the key word in this question is obligation. What type of obligation? It is political obligation. Now, moving ahead, how we will start the question. Now, there are two approaches to deal with introduction of the question. The first approach is called direct hitting. Now, what we mean when I say direct hit? When I say direct hit, that means in the introduction itself, we will let the examiner know that what we are writing is completely to the point, to the answer. Second approach is context building. That means we are giving a context and then we are from the general coming to the specific points. Now, which one is a better way? In my opinion, this context one is a better way because it adds a edge to your answer. How? Because direct hit is an answer which is usually followed in GS answers. But when we come to contextual answer, then contextual answer is something which can be only developed when you have a broad knowledge of the subject. Now, when writing contextual answer, then what are the stakeholders? The first stakeholder when writing contextual answer is to knowing the historical background. What? To knowing the historical background of the topic. Historical background along with the second point when dealing with contextual answer is that in what way we are coming from general to specific. That means while writing answers on contextual way, we have to deal with the question in general and then we have to derive to the specific, that is the core demand of the question. That doesn't mean that in general we will be not dealing with the core demand of the question. Obviously we will be dealing with the core demand of the question, but that demand will be starting with the general terms. Like for example, in this question, while dealing, the core demand is what? That is obligation. Now, going through UPSC syllabus, obligation comes in which part of the syllabus? It comes in something called power, authority and legitimacy. Now, which section? It is part of political theory. It is part of political theory. Now, that means we will start with political theory and then we will come to the context of Hobbes. That how the and in the whole process we have to build a linkage between the context, linkage between the answer. So, beginning the answer of the question, let's see the very first answer for the, let's see the answer for this question. Now, let me just clear it out. So, if I will ask you all that what is the main stakeholder which you think in this question, then it should be very easy to identify, that is political obligation. That is political obligation. Okay. Now, when I say that the stakeholder for the question is political obligation. That means first of all we need to let the examiner know that what we understand by the word obligation. So let's make it very simple. So in the introduction itself we will be writing that obligation, by obligation we means, by obligation we means obedience. Obedience for what? Obedience for what? Think, come on. Yes, what we are dealing is political science. In political science we are mean to say obedience to state, obedience to law, obedience to command of a state. So what you can write is obedience to law or state, whatever you suit you can write here, right? So this is the first argument which we are giving here. Now let's make this question general. When we are saying, then we are going to make this question general. So in general, which subject we are dealing? The very general argument for this whole question could be political science. So the central question of political science. Now link it, the central question of political science with the demand of the question. So the central question kya hoga? Then the central question of the political science is, to understand what? Come on, think, is to understand why people should obey state. Now think of it, if you are writing such an impressive introduction, isn't it going to attract the mind of the examiner? Because you will be very much different from other sections of students who are writing the answer in a very basic. They are just going to give moreover definition of either obligation, or they will just say Hobbes was the first modern thinker. In his book Leviathan dealt with the question of political obligation. In all these circumstances, when you are writing a very unique introduction, that is political obligation, you are starting with by obligation, we means obedience to law or state. The central question of political science is to understand why people should obey state. Now we have created a question. From a question itself. Now we will deal with what? We will be dealing with the answer to this question. So in dealing with the question answer, we will answer it like this. First come Plato. So for Plato, why people should obey state? Keep it very short. Because why we are keeping it very short? Because the demand of the question is not obligation. The demand of the question is not Plato. The demand of the question is not Aristotle. We will just give a passing statement just to give various diversity to our answer. So according to Plato, why we should obey state? Because state is individual writ large. State is individual writ large. Now see, the question was Hobbes, but how we are linking this question is from Plato. Second argument will be Aristotle. What Aristotle say? Give his quote. What he say? Man is a political animal. Man is political animal. Now third argument, let's take it to modernity. So just between Aristotle and Hobbes, whom we see? Come on, think, brainstorm fast. Yes, we see Machiavelli. So what Machiavelli say? Machiavelli say nothing is above, follow me, above national interest. Yes, okay, clear? So the question which we have created ourselves, we have answered it to with the perspectives of various scholars. Now what will be the approach for further moving in this question? Let's use some different color pen. Okay, so making the approach, now we have made a very good introduction to the question. Now we have to direct jump to the specific part. So first, what are the keywords when you listen to the word obligation of Plato? The first thing must be coming Leviathan. Second thing which must be coming to your mind is why obligate as per Hobbes. Impact of obligation. Okay. Now, moving ahead. For dealing with all these aspects, we will create a linkage between this. How we will create a linkage? Let's see. To answer this very question, let's create this like this. Okay. Yes. So, Hobbes, in his book Leviathan. Now, see. The value addition. People will write Leviathan, the book of Hobbes, and they will stop right here. But when you will be writing here the year of the book, that is what? That is 1651. When you will be writing the year of the book, that will work as a value addition. So Hobbes in his book Leviathan mentions his idea of political obligation. Hobbes in his book mentions about political obligation. Now, we will build the context. Again, we will go to contextual approach. How? We will say that Hobbes state that people live in in state of nature which is poor, nasty, brutish and short. See, this is a keyword: poor, nasty, brutish and short. Now, see what Hobbes say, that in state of nature, I will tell you why we are writing like this. See, we have given, first what we have done, we have given the argument. First we have given the argument that where we find. Second, we have built the context of state of nature. Why we are building this concept? Because obligation, the word obligation, from where we can derive the word obligation? We can derive this word obligation from the relationship between the sovereign and its subject. That means the people, citizen and the king. So this relationship is itself obligation for Hobbes. Now, what we are building, that why this relationship came into existence? Because until and unless there is no relationship between the sovereign and the subject, there is no question of obligation. So we are building this question. So in this question, we are dealing with, first what we gave, Hobbes state that people live in a state of nature which is poor, nasty, brutish and short. Now, this is an argument. Now, for this argument, we will be giving an evidence. Why Hobbes says that this state of nature is poor, nasty, brutish and short. In a state of nature, people follow pessimistic egoism. Now, this is nothing but a short, simple word called selfish person. This is an alternate word which Hobbes used in his book. Now, there is another UPSC previous question on pessimistic egoism and social contract. That means in Hobbes, what we see is pessimistic egoism and social contract. Although not diverting the question, so we have given the evidence for this argument. Now, moving ahead. So what in this argument we are going to move ahead is we have done with this one paragraph. Now, we need to build a linkage between this first paragraph and the second paragraph. So what will be the linkage for this one? So in pessimistic egoism, when we are ending this paragraph with human being selfish in nature, then the next argument will be what? Why human is that selfish? So we will give that argument. How we will start? We will start from, first of all, here, not here. Okay, because this is very beginning first lecture, so I am giving so much detailed argument. So starting from here, human, what we will be writing? Human. Why human is pessimistic, egoistic? Because human being prefer self self-preservation for which they form a social contract. In social contract, the sovereign in bracket not party to contract have absolute powers. Now, what type of absolute powers? So here again comes the question. See how we have built the linkage. You have to see in between the two paragraphs. Human beings prefer self-preservation for which they form a social contract. In social contract, the sovereign who is not party to the contract have absolute power. Now the question comes, the explanation part of this argument. How that person is getting that absolute power? That person is getting the absolute power in what form? So the next argument will begin like this. The contract in the contract people surrender their natural rights. Now see, when we are writing natural rights, this is a very you can say very basic term used in political science. But Hobbes in his book Leviathan, when you will read various readings, then you will find that Hobbes have called natural right as something else. What he have called is, he have called councils of articles, or he have called prudence. He have called prudence of peace. Yes. So in bracket, when we are writing these two terms, that means this is a very big value addition to our argument. Okay. So councils of articles, prudence of peace. In the contract, people surrender their natural rights to sovereign and come together to obligate what? Positive law. Now remember, positive law or कौन से, which are the other thinkers who come to your mind? Two thinkers, Bentham and Austin. These two thinkers are very popular to the idea of positive law. So see, when we are using here obligate, we have linked the argument. Second thing, we have used this very keyword. Which one? We have used this keyword, right? We have used this keyword, councils of articles, prudence of peace. So this keyword is going to work as anything for you. It is going to give you very exceptional marks in the examination. Now, moving ahead, what we have dealt till now in this question, we have dealt with this part of Leviathan. Why obligate? So two part we have dealt, that people should obligate because there will be self-preservation. Second, we have dealt with natural law which was associated with divine right theory or two swords theory. Two swords theory or divine right theory. And they are now obliging with what? Positive law. Hobbes, who is supporter of positive law. Right? Now we will see the impact of obligation. Now what we are going to obligation. Okay. So for writing the impact of obligation, we will deal with a thinker. I will give you the argument. Okay. So for dealing with the impact. If the people will obligate, then what will be the outcome? So Pitkin, moreover. So see, this word moreover is nothing but a add-on. This word moreover is what? This word moreover is working as a connecting line between the previous paragraph and this paragraph. Linkage. Because see, there is no as such linkage between the previous paragraph and this one. So we are using moreover. Okay. Connecting line, connecting term. So moreover, Pitkin. If you would have studied deeply PSIR, then you would have known who is Pitkin. Okay, so moreover, Pitkin stated. Oh yeah, it's disturbing. Moreover, Pitkin stated that Hobbes defended political obligation. Moreover, Pitkin stated that Hobbes defended political obligation to avoid anarchy and civil war. So what we have stated here, that we have given a impact part. Now see, if this question would not be have 10 marks, rather it would have been of 15 marks, then before writing this paragraph, I would have mentioned one more argument, one more paragraph. That would be what? That paragraph would be dealing with that Hobbes have stated that people even have right to resist. Let me write it here. Okay, no issue. Although Hobbes give people right to resist the sovereign when fails to self-preservation, which is the actual end goal, which is actually the reason behind obligation. So if the sovereign fails to preserve the life of individuals, then they have right to resist. Second, using arbitrary power on people. So see, till now here we have given the impact. So we have completely dealt with the question, and we have also added a value addition of Pitkin. Okay, now moving to the next slide. So next one we will be writing what? We will be writing, because this is a 10 marker, we are not having so much space in the question. So we will be writing what? We will be writing critic, because we have to do comment. So comment should be nothing like very much going, we are completely positive. We have to write the comment. So who is the critic? First critic is Locke. So Locke is something who everyone is going to write. So we are not going to write about Locke. We are going to write about Taylor. Critics like Taylor. Now, if you guys have studied about Taylor, then you must be knowing that Taylor stated what? That he is a scholar of egoistic psychology and theistic deontology. Critics like Taylor stated Hobbes in support of egoistic psychology and theistic deontology. Just underline, they are nothing but keywords, underline. Have been limited to fear than natural law. So we have covered almost the aspects. First, why people should have, we have given the context, then we have given the various thinkers on obligation, then come to Hobbes' book, that was like core clicking, we are just core hitting the question in the second paragraph. Then we have given the contextual, that why he want the obligation to happen, what will happen if people will not obligate, what will happen if sovereign will go beyond his limits. Then we have also dealt what was the argument of Pitkin, that impact of obligation. Then we have given the critic. Now there will be simply conclusion. So what will be the conclusion? So conclusion will be very basic, although see, conclusion should be always like practical. Conclusion should be what? Try to write conclusion in a practical way. Practical, pragmatic. Hobbes was what? Hobbes was pragmatic in nature. How the conclusion will be pragmatic? Conclusion will be pragmatic when you will deal with the real life issues or India based answer. So what issues we see in Hobbes? The very basic issue is that Hobbes' sovereign is not having authority of democratic values. He is not following the democratic ideals. So what we will write? Although Hobbes' obligation provide powerful and rational obligation for rational justification. Let's use comma space. Rational justification for origin of political authority. What we are doing in the conclusion, see, we are linking political authority, we are linking it with the question, and now we will give the way forward. How we will be giving way forward? Its critic. We are linking it with what? Its critic. Its critic reminds us. See, we are linking the critic with the argument. Now see, in the critic part, we have dealt with egoistic psychology, we have dealt with theistic deontology, but we have not dealt with Locke. We have not, because of less space we are having. So what we will do, we will add some values to the argument. So like what we will writing, like reminds us the need to balance between what? Balance between accountability and, you can write freedom, you can write democratic value. Let's like democratic value, it's like suitable. Democratic values to maintain political order. So I hope you guys have understood the answer, that what we have done in this question. First, we have dealt with what is the obligation. Then in the introduction part, we have dealt with the obligation, and then in the second context, we have dealt with the various thinkers' views. Then we have dealt with what will be the approach. So Hobbes, then we have mentioned Hobbes' book. What we have done, we have mentioned Hobbes' book Leviathan. Then after that, we have built a context, and in all the context we have given the keywords for the answer. Then you can see that then we have dealt with the natural law and positive law difference, and why Hobbes used positive law, and why people should obligate, because people should maintain the the peace and harmony, because they need to have a self-preservation. Then we have dealt the Pitkin argument. We have given a value addition through Pitkin. Okay, so then moving ahead, after dealing with Pitkin, we have given the critic, like Taylor. Taylor is such a critic which most of the people will not write. So this will work as a value addition for you. And after that, we have given a short conclusion. So that's it, guys, for today. We'll meet in another video. I hope you would have liked this video. As it was our first video, I have dealt very deeply with the approach to the answer writing. In the upcoming videos, I will try to conclude and keep it much more shorter. I hope you like. If you like this video, like and comment and share with your friends, and please don't forget to subscribe it. And any suggestions, don't forget to put it in comment box. Thank you.